already finished that. You sucked down that Prime quick, didn't you?
I'm a big fan of coconut water, so.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to the Clover Street Podcast. Joining me today is my sometimes co-host, Greg.
Hello.
Glad to have you back, Greg.
Good to be back
buddy.
there, buddy. Sorry that I'm doing my crappy impression of a bartender with my non-sponsored energy beverage.
That's all right. That's all
into
right.
a
Maybe
non-sponsored
we will get, speaking of
sports
that,
beverage.
we might get a sponsor someday. Hopefully, you know.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. Fleshlight, Prime.
That's how Joe Rogan started.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey.
Speaking of Joe Rogan, I got my shirt on. I'm representing. Greg, yours is visible. He's got the Tom Segura. Be sure and check out Tom's new special that just dropped on Netflix on the 4th of July called
Sledgehammer.
Absolutely hilarious.
Which was fantastic because when we watched it, my wife and I saw him when he came and played the theater in Norfolk. I don't think it was Chrysler Hall. The name of the theater escapes me at the moment, but we saw him. And what you saw on Sledgehammer was pretty much what we saw. And then there's some things that he took out and
really?
Added and stuff. Yeah, so there's some things that he talked about in the special I'd already seen.
So it wasn't that long ago that you saw him in Norfolk.
No, it was like September of 21. So he's been on tour for a long time.
Okay. So he added a few things, fine-tuned, polished it up.
And my wife was like, well, I remember this part. And I think, yeah. And I went, yeah, okay, now that I think about it, yeah. So, yeah. But it didn't diminish my enjoyment. And Ryan, my 19-year-old, he's howling.
Yeah.
And
it was hilarious. I loved it.
Yeah, it was. And then my in-laws are far less, into that edgy stuff. So
yeah.
And I wanted to say, why on earth would you even press play on these certain comedians? And he's one of them.
Yeah.
And to me, he's not just basically, blatantly punch in the face with offensive stuff.
No.
To me, it's not.
No.
You're just not being concerned about being careful with the way you phrase things.
He was a little, I'm not trying to redo any of his bits, but I did notice that he mentioned that his kids were, he has, two boys?
2 boys.
And he said that he let them choose what they wanted to be. And then that's all he said.
Yeah.
Is there water over there, Greg?
Yes, there is.
Can I have one of those?
Yes,
Thank you, buddy.
certainly.
Look at you.
How about that? It's a beauty.
We were talking a little earlier about golf, and maybe you bringing me out there and showing me a thing or two.
I noticed that you had a camo hat, a camo golf hat, and some people just like it because of the hat. Some people like the design, and
in other words, some people are posers.
Yeah, well, yeah. I stopped using that word in high school. Yeah. But I am obsessed.
Yeah, I can kind of tell
it.
that. I've looked at some of your videos, and I can get a sense.
Yeah, because I've got he'll be 16 tomorrow.
Your
your
younger
old son, Noah. He and I, and he's far more quiet. He would not be a good podcast guest because he's just not going to speak. Similar to my brother. He's just.
Has he listened to any of our shows?
I don't think he really cares.
No. Has your older son listened?
He may have.
Oh, okay.
He may have.
Yeah.
But I've had some friends at work that are like, hey, that's pretty funny. It's compelling and good stuff. And I went, hey, thanks. I appreciate that.
I think we're growing. We're evolving. We're fine-tuning ourselves. What's great is we do these podcasts, then we have the opportunity to watch them at our leisure, and we're our own worst critics.
Yes.
So we can pick apart goofy stuff. I know stuff that I did wrong. You know stuff that you did wrong.
I just did one of the things I can't stand, which I was watching playback of us, and as you're speaking, instead of just allowing it to just be you, I for some reason had to make a sound to Yeah. I am guilty of that sometimes too. I've already done it.
It's not always, I have an uncle and my mother used to do this. They would say something to me and they wouldn't ask me a question. They would just proclaim a statement. And if I didn't respond, if I didn't go, yeah, or something, they'd be like, Chris? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, did you hear me? And I'm like, yeah. Why don't you continue on?
Were my eyes making contact with you?
Yeah. It's a little annoying, but whatever. Yeah, so back to golf. We're going to get out there, and you're going to show me a thing or two?
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, I say the things that I do, the things that work for me, because golf is one of those things where people will say to you, do this. And they might be just full of shit. And they might just be repeating something that they'd heard.
Right.
I'm trying to get the same type of, everything for me is feel. I have an idea of what I want my swing and my positions and everything like that to look like, but I know that that's not the case. I know that the way things feel whenever I am really locked in and hitting the ball as well as I can, and whenever I'm good enough, I'm able to make the shot, the ball behave the way I want it to, based on the shot.
How long have you been playing? High school?
No, I didn't play in high school. I played baseball in high school, and I wish that I did play golf.
Did they offer golf?
Well, see, I'm left-handed, and I came up whenever left-handed was kind of like, it's kind of like now whenever someone says a very niche or specific, or I don't know how to do that, hey, this is what I am, and someone just goes, that's how left-handed was treated at the time, where like I initially learned how to play right-handed. And that's good if you're trying to help yourself avoid, brain degenerative disorders, Alzheimer's. If you're trying to do things right-handed that you would normally do left-handed. I am everything left-handed. Yeah. But there's certain things that I just feel natural doing right-handed. And an old tired garbage joke that I would just use, just a throwaway line whenever I was talking to people, smooth, was just, I do everything left-handed. I even shit left-handed. And then I would just get a look like a puzzled dog.
Yeah.
Like, what was that sound that I just, because that's what I would get. So I just, everything I do in golf is just based on feel. And then if I'm able to just repeat it, that's the chase. Is that you're never going to be perfect. You're just always heading that door. You're always trying to get in that direction.
I think the sport is designed that way for people. Yes,
it's maximum frustrating, but at the same time, it's maximum fulfilling. And you can't be too high. You can't be too low. That's why I think my son is perfect at it. He's perfectly suited for it. He's still, he's developing the foundation to really get there. Last year was his first year playing on the high school golf team. And the way they work is they play the first 9 holes, and based on your score, you are able to continue. That's basically like the qualifier. To play the full 18 holes for that event.
Okay.
And there was one where he was playing, and the coach was texting me back and forth. He said, Noah's doing great, man. Oh. He's doing great. Like, if he keeps it up like this, he might be in the top 10 of this event. Wow. But he was just, the heat got to him. So I think he had to pull out on like the 13th hole or something like that. Was
it this summer?
It was last summer. Because, I think it was last August is whenever the coach, and he coaches the baseball team and the golf team over at the high school. And he's like, man, he's not too high, he's not too low. He hits a great shot. You got to put a mirror underneath his nose to see if he's still breathing. If he hits a bad shot, you got to put a mirror underneath his nose to see if he's still breathing. He just doesn't get too high. If I notice that he has a great shot or something like that, I'll give him a fist bump, and he's not very demonstrative with his emotions or anything like that, and he doesn't get frustrated. So,
have you ever taken him over to Top Golf?
Oh yeah,
I've never been there. I would love to go with you sometime.
Yeah,
because I really need to work on my initial driving swing.
Top Golf would be if you're just over there to have fun.
I want to do that too.
Okay, you can do that.
Bring your son,
and you can do a competitive thing. And there's different little games that you can set up to try to get the best score or be more precise. You can have practice, but if you're there just to be social and get a picture and get some good, they got some good food. And
do they have good food?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Injectable donuts. Come on, dude. You can get like raspberry in a syringe, or you can get like chocolate sauce, and you can just stick it in there.
Oh, you inject your own donuts?
Yeah, you inject the donuts.
Okay.
And I go, what?
I'm trying to
chicken
eat
and
a little
waffle
healthier.
sliders.
Oh,
This is not a. This is not something to base your diet on or anything like that. But it's just
maybe
like,
a cheat day or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I
would love to do that. I've had friends that I've invited that sort of got a lukewarm response. It's about $35 per person,
depending on the time of the day. I think the first part of the day it starts at like 25, and then the midday it jumps up to 35. But then you get where all the lights are on. And that's whenever they're going to charge you more.
And that's when people are getting off of work and wanting to go and play.
It's like, hey, let's get a bunch of beer and just hang out and stuff. And everything is lit up better.
Yes.
And so it's much more of a party vibe.
Right.
I'm too old for that.
I don't mind going early in the day.
It's just a fun, cool place to go. We went there one day on Father's Day, and boy, the wait.
Oh, I'll bet. I'll bet. You have to make reservations ahead of time, don't you? I know I did.
That may be the case now, but at the time we just kind of showed up.
Okay.
And they're like, well, we'll just get you in it. And the first time we went on the 3rd floor. They got 3 floors.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this is great. And of course, my wife was like, I don't know. Let's either do the ground floor or the 2nd floor. I'm like, all right.
Do they have a barrier to protect people from falling over?
They've got.
When they've been drinking?
When they introduce you to the place, they're going to go, okay, this one person passed this line to go over to the little square, the hitting area. If you go past that, there's like a red line at the edge of the concrete. And then there's a net.
Okay.
That will catch you if you fall into it.
Has that ever happened?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there's plenty of things that have transpired.
At the Virginia Beach one?
I'm sure there has been.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, some people are just, maybe they're too liquored up or whatever, or they're being stupid. Because, that's guys have that propensity to just be idiots.
We're going to have to do that, man. That sounds so fun. I got a new putter last summer at Costco. Have you heard about the Costco
Kirkland signature putters?
I got a Kirkland signature putter, and it got pretty good reviews online.
Yes, because one of the they do a combination of things. They have podcasts related to golf and equipment and everything like that, and they're basically like the Consumer Reports for golfers, and it's called My Golf Spy. Okay. And they're actually up in Yorktown, so it's not too far. There was one day where I was making deliveries, and I walked in and I was like, this is heaven. It's just like 3 or 4 simulators, and then they've got all the equipment from all the manufacturers, and they test it out. And I'm left-handed, so they'll have things like, hey, we want to see who wants to be a tester. Like, can you guys offer stuff that's not for right-handed people? Because I don't know what kind of insight or input that I can give you that would be useful to you, because that's what they do. They don't just use the robot arm that just hits the same exact thing every single time. No, they use different caliber golfers, and I'd like to contribute, but if you're relegated to only using right-handed stuff, then I'm just gonna be like a spectator or whatever.
There's a YouTube channel that I got into a little bit last summer where these people just go around to different thrift stores and garage sales and look for
just hidden gems. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And sometimes the stuff they find is, and you can talk, man, if you go to a garage sale, you can talk people down easily. They just want to get rid of the stuff. They're going to just leave it on their curb usually or donate it.
Yeah.
So
I remember an old Sebastian Maniscalco bit, and I want to say it's probably on Netflix, where his father, who's an Italian immigrant, and he said that if these folks don't want to pay for what I have, then they're not going to get it free whenever I put it out of the curb. So if they don't want to buy the couch, saw the couch in half.
And then put it on the curb.
You must watch that. I don't think it's the most recent one, but he's fantastic. But because tomorrow I actually have to go to work, and then afterwards we're gonna head on down to the beach down
Why
to
are
the
you
outer.
off today?
I had
The doctor's appointment? Okay.
I had knee surgery last year, in June of last year, and I was out of work for about 3 months. And so someone said, hey, you got to go get, check to see if you can actually get more money. And so I was like, okay, and everything's done through workers' comp. So I thought that I was going to be able to get some additional stuff done. And they go, oh, well, that has to be approved.
So
That refreshes my memory. It's like waiting for a bill to pass. It's not something that can be expedited. Hey, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We've already got the resources and the time and no. Well, we have to submit that. It has to be approved. Okay, so
whenever I have an issue with my vehicle, I'm with Allstate, and if there's a fender bender, a hit and run, I've had a half a dozen issues over the years. And man, they're on top of stuff quick. And nowadays, we had somebody hit and run a vehicle we just sold maybe 2-3 months ago, and boom, just like that. They were like instantly, the money's in your account, like minutes, hours after the incident happened.
That's awesome.
So great, yeah. Right. So my wife and I are going to see Bill Burr in November. And you and I are going to see Bert Kreischer in November.
Late November.
Yep. Super excited about that.
I'm already preparing myself to be exhausted at work the next day.
Yeah.
Just exhausted.
Yeah. Well, that's not going to go that late.
It's not that. That's not the problem.
Yeah. What's the problem?
Me.
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to sleep the night before. I'm not going to be able to sleep the night of.
I
the
see.
adrenaline and everything like that.
Yeah.
I get the most delusional visions of grandeur whenever I maybe if I meet so-and-so and we get to talking or something stupid like that, and then have some sort of dialogue. I don't know what my stupid brain thinks of that makes me think that somebody's going to want to go, hey, let's, and however just not realistic my brain can take it into something that puts me in, not necessarily, fame and fortune or anything like that, but just a cool rapport relationship or something like that with somebody.
If you want to hang out near his bus, he has a bus with his big face on it, before or after the show, for a chance to meet him, I'm completely down.
Because I think I've never been able that has never really been something that's been an option. It's just you get there, you show up, you wait in your line,
right?
You go maybe do the thing where you wait for the your drink or whatever, and then you go sit down, and then it's time to go.
At a huge venue like Chrysler Hall or Scope or wherever it is we're going to see him, it's usually like that. There's no possible way they can come out and do meet and greets with however many thousands of people are there. I think the only chance is to hang out near the bus and maybe get a quick selfie or something. I don't know. But if you're down for that, I'm completely down for it. But yeah, that's going to be super, super exciting. This will be your first time seeing him.
Seeing Bert live. This will be my first time. Each time that he's either come into Richmond or Norfolk/Virginia Beach, I've looked at it. And if it's not a Friday night, Saturday night kind of thing, I've always just been like, well, that doesn't really. And
was it on a Thursday night, right?
Yeah, this time will be Thursday, and
I'm gonna have to take off for it. But Thursday night's usually our slowest night, so it's not that big of a deal at the club.
Right.
But yeah, it'll be a good time. I remember last time there was the time before the show started. We were milling around in the lobby, and I bought a mini poster of him, Birdie Boy, or whatever the tour was called, and he autographed each one. So I didn't get to see him autograph it, but it was autographed by him. So I have that at the house. And I think they had sweatshirts and T-shirts and
so much merch.
Yeah.
And the both of the shows that Tom does, and I know Bert does as well. Bert is the master of merchandising / promotion. I think he's the master of promotion, and Tom, for me, is the master of merch. Because
really? Yeah.
If you look on his sites, YMH and all that, there's so many show references to people that they highlight on videos and everything like that, and they'll just just put it on a coffee mug, put it on a shirt, and it will sell out.
I got this from the Higher Primate website.
That's where isn't that his?
Yeah, he's got fanny packs there and coffee mugs and everything.
Yeah, he's like the one guy that's holding on to fanny packs.
I love fanny packs. I absolutely love them.
I've never. That's right up there to me with Crocs. I just go, nope. And the newest iteration of Crocs for me are Hey Dudes.
What is that? A type of shoe?
It's a type of shoe.
I've not seen
and
that.
It's like a slip-on, really, it's like a loafer-looking kind of thing. It almost looks like if a pair of Vans was trying to morph into like a more formal-looking shoe, but it's like canvas or some type of soft fabric or whatever, and then just the weirdest pattern, and I immediately want to vomit when I see them. I just go, never.
They lace up?
Yeah, but it's kind of like they're not really they're for form, not function, as far as the laces on your shoes.
Okay.
I typically wear just athletic shoes, sneakers, whatever people want to call them. Tennis shoes.
Yeah.
But I don't really have, unless they're work-related boots or whatever, I just always wear shoes that are like...
You wear boots at your work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought those get super hot in the summer.
Of course. Yeah.
I have decided to replace most of my socks with these guys right here. These little... these are just so practical. And
the no-shows.
They're hip. Mm-hmm. I think they're hip. And... they're not hot. I have a majority regular tube socks,
right?
Just like a nerdy white American should, and just a handful. Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. And just a handful of these. I'd like to reverse that. I'd like to have a bulk of my socks be these little shorty ones.
My son Ryan, my oldest, has those Spicoli edition Vans that you're wearing as well.
Yeah, they're comfy. And I've also evolved into laceless shoes. If I can. If it's just a comfortable pair of shoes that I just want to throw on real quick, I am all about laceless. When I go to the gym, I wear my Brooks, and they have laces, but they're extremely comfortable. They're fantastic. Last time we did our podcast, we started the first section of the show talking about pickleball. And now we're doing golf.
Yeah.
So there you go.
We're trying to just...
What will it be next time?
Completely just diminish the audience is what we're doing.
People who are not interested in golf are like, well, I'm going to fast forward through this. Tomorrow morning, I'm going fishing with two of my uncles.
Okay.
And one of my uncle's grandkids. So I don't know if that's like... what do you call a kid... of one of your cousins? What is that to you? Are you an uncle? Or I don't know what that is. Anyway, I'm going fishing tomorrow.
Relative.
And I just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm going fishing.
Some bloke.
I haven't been fishing yet this year, and I'm supposedly this lover of fishing. And I am a lover of fishing, but I haven't been. I sadly pulled up my the app that where you can check your licenses and stuff, and I sadly noticed, to my surprise,
you've got lapses.
All my licenses are expired right now. All of them. My hunting license, my archery, big game, fishing, saltwater, freshwater. So probably later today, I'm going to renew that and just, boom, I'll have my fishing license, my freshwater fishing license.
Firing stuff at people with Venmo/Cash App or whatever you use.
Yeah. And it's great. I kind of think it's kind of cool with the way it's set up now, because if you happen to be out fishing or hunting or doing whatever you do, and this is horrible advice I'm giving right now, and you don't have a license, and you see the game warden coming, you pick up your phone real quick. Hey, I got it. It's right here.
Good.
But don't do that.
We're good.
Let me tell you, do not do that. I am such a strong supporter in responsible wildlife management and all the stuff that money goes towards. Even if I know I'm going to have a very busy year and not really have any time to do any hunting or fishing or anything like that, I will still go and buy my license because I consider it my yearly donation to a cause that I strongly believe in.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, but I am going to have to and pick up some worms. We're going to a little pond, a little freshwater pond right next to Boo Williams. You're familiar with Boo Williams.
I am.
And just worms, and they stock it all year. They stock it in the fall with trout.
So it's just you're going to be on the bank.
Yeah, and apparently it's one of my uncle's grandkids. It is He's kind of very new to fishing, so I'm gonna have to show him, how to take a hook out of a fish, how to put a worm on a hook, how to do all that stuff.
This is icky.
I know. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But usually, depending on the weather and the time of day, every time you cast out, you'll pull in at least a little sunfish every time. So
I've got limited experience fishing. I do remember when we went to, it was my dad, my brother, and I want to say the guy that was the preacher at the church that I grew up in. And
y'all went fishing with your preacher?
We went on the Shenandoah River.
Oh, man, I've never fished there. I've always wanted to.
I believe we were in a canoe, and we were stuck on, there were some rocks on the bottom of the river, and we just happened to just get kind of lodged, and I didn't stop casting, and every single time I cast, I was getting something. I got something else.
Yeah.
Stop moving us.
How'd you finally get unlodged?
I think they just were pressing with, oars
Sometimes
or,
you can
or
wiggle your
whatever.
way
Yeah.
out.
So
How many of you were in this canoe? 4?
4.
It must have been a pretty good-sized canoe.
Well, he was a good-sized lad. The guy that was the preacher, he was like XXL Larry the Cable Guy. He reminded me aesthetically of Larry the Cable Guy, but like Larry the Cable Guy and Fluffy.
Fluffy?
Yeah, Gabriel Iglesias.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
A bit of a larger bloke.
I have a plastic canoe. It's very heavy duty, but if you put 3 people in it, you're kind of pushing it. And I've taken it out in the Chesapeake Bay with 3 people. And we're all normal size. I mean, around 180 max, I think. And I was 180 back then. I'm not now. But and I caught a giant skate. A cow nose stingray. Sorry, it was a stingray. Pretty good size, and it was arduous to get it up into the canoe. I think we actually had to end up sort of like the old man in the sea, where we just
letting something hanging it and dragging it.
Yeah, but by the time we got back to the shore, it was untouched. It was still good, and we were able to get it, and I ate it. I made stingray nuggets, which I know how to do. It's very similar to when you catch a catfish, you have to peel the skin off.
Right.
And I have the special catfish pliers, and you sort of do the same thing with stingray wings. And it's delicious. So.
How about that? Yeah. I'm glad you made a book reference, and I immediately knew what it was about.
What book reference did I make?
Old Man in the Sea.
Oh, yeah. You did. You did. I'm proud of you.
I immediately knew that one. Because
going back to high school.
I've wanted to get a little bit more into book reading, but back whenever I would read to my kids, I'd get to get really pronounced and act out and try to do the voices or of whoever. But if I was actually trying to read myself, the yawns would just be nonstop.
Yeah, same here.
And I would go, is there something wrong with me? Do I've got...
It's like narcolepsy. It puts me to sleep right away. Yeah. I can handle a magazine article while I'm sitting on the toilet. My attention span, my focus, and everything is about all I can handle. I'm not a good novel reader.
And a lot of times I'm picking up things from what I'm listening to or whatever, and so I'm able to figure out the proper usage of either a phrase or a word or something that may be new to me. And I immediately understand what they're saying. But if I'm trying to just sit down with a book or whatever, again, the yawns just start hitting me like waves on the beach.
And let me guess, your wife is an avid reader.
No, she actually has a couple that she. There's a particular author that she's fond of, and she went to the library and she kind of charged herself with that as like a little summer.
Tackling all that author's books?
No, she had just a couple.
A little series?
Just a couple. She's like, I want to get this author that I do like, and she's got a couple, and yeah, I've just not really. No, she's got the certain types of shows that she's more fond of, but as soon as I saw the books, I went, hey, go ahead, man. Have at it. Because sometimes if you're seeing the same stimulus of whatever you're, if you're looking on social media or TV or whatever, depending on what it is, the energy could just put you in a bad place where you just, even if it's something that I might agree with, political or social or whatever it is, even if it's something that I agree with, just based on the energy, I might just go, I don't want that constant, feeling of, I don't want to be angry right now. I'm just trying to chill. So again, I might agree with what these people are trying to say or promote or whatever, but sometimes depending on how it's presented to me, it's
like those lawyer commercials that come on TV that shout at you.
Yes.
You just got
Stop
done watching
yelling
a
at
calm.
me.
So you just got done watching On Golden Pond.
Tell them you mean business.
Yeah, right. As far as TV shows, my wife, I don't know, some of the stuff we gel completely. We absolutely love the same stuff. Some of the stuff, though, some of the shows she watches are just, she loves Super Nanny, Wife Swap, Trading Spouses, Judge Judy. She loves Karen videos, Angry Karens gets justice or whatever. And I just, I can't.
Those, the one that they love that my wife and my boys like to watch, the younger one, not as much, but they like watching Impractical Jokers. And for some reason, there is so much cringe in that I'm uncomfortable watching some of it. You can see the people that are blurred out.
I've only seen a couple episodes.
But then you see the people that are staying, in focus and everything like that. And of course, later on, they've got to sign the waiver saying, yes, it's okay to use my face and all this footage and everything like that. But just the level of discomfort that I feel before they ever, get to the things get resolved in whatever kind of prank, or setup and everything like that. For some reason, I'm just so... I'm squirming and
for them on their behalf.
I'm just this.
Is that similar to Ashton Kutcher's old show that he did with celebrities where he jokes on them?
Yeah, but these guys are all like lifelong friends, so they've got much more of a chemistry, and they've got.
The people who host the show.
Yeah, the four dudes. Now it's three, so they'll rotate in a fourth person based on either their level of celebrity or how their relationship is with that person.
Right.
Or maybe they're just all in to promote. Because
I think
that's
the
how
one
things
kid
are.
from Stranger Things with the gap in his teeth or whatever and the curly hair, I think he was a guest joker.
He may have been, and that's sometimes that's what they'll do is they'll get their publicist or whatever. Let's say they're something that a vehicle of theirs is getting ready to drop, and so hey, let's put so and put them on that show. Excuse me. And there's one guy I want to say that he's trying to just take a little bit of just back away a little bit for maybe family. Again, I'm grasping at straws. I don't know if that's truly what Joe Gatto is the guy that kind of, and I hear from my wife, they go, yeah, ever since Joe left, it's not the same. Because it's for just people that, because I got a couple of friends that you could just sink right back into it. Like, we haven't been around each other in years. And you can immediately go right back into the usage of the inside jokes. And then you get into, amplifying things and bouncing things off of one another and, pushing the envelope with one another. And that's what these guys have been doing, since high school or middle school, or however long they've known one another. So that's one of the...
So some of their back and forth is sort of just old friend humor, inside jokes and stuff like that?
Yeah, like there was one, and at the end of every episode, there'll be the person who lost. Because it'll be a certain number of challenges they can fit in the time allowed for the window for the show, and then at the end, then there'll be a punishment. And there was one, everybody calls him James Murray, I want to say is his name. He has such an affinity for Danica McKellar, the girl that played Winnie Cooper.
She's like a math genius.
Yeah,
now or
and he was so smitten with her. And
was she on the show?
They brought her on the show because they knew how much he was
wow.
just. That was like his childhood crush.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Winnie.
and he's just, and you could just see the terror in his eyes.
really?
And they're off screen, and of course they've got another set of cameras that are seeing their reaction, and they've got him, mic'd up and everything like that, and they're able to, they've got like I don't know if it's a IFB or whatever, that they're able to just, shout prompts to him like, hey, you have to do this now, and then he's got to say whatever or do whatever embarrassing thing or activity or whatever to these people, and just completely degrade and demean himself. And again, that to me is the part I'm just going, I'm getting uncomfortable just talking about it, because I can vividly recall that, and just my whole, unless it's somebody that I know or whatever, I'm not trying to be as, I'm just like at work. I just want to be, I don't want to bother you. I just want to hear, and then I'm gone. Whereas some people are a little bit more of a production and a little bit more, just, I don't know. The older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, let's cut back on that and be a little bit more considerate. And,
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how our views change as we get older. You surprise even yourself. It's like, I never thought that I would view this way, or your priority list changes so much as you get older and mature. I found that myself. Even simple things like decorating or just taste in clothes, or I guess it's gotten more conservative. My wife's definitely gotten more conservative.
I look at mine as more just I'm a little bit more of a minimalist with certain things. Like at my house, there's not a whole lot going on. If I'm not saying that everybody is anal. There's a couple things that'll be, it's not as cleaned up or put together as it ought to be, but it's by no means an episode of Hoarders. Because if I go to someone's house and let's say they've got pets, I can immediately smell it. Immediately.
Well,
we haven't had pets in so long.
Yeah.
My in-laws, they had a cat whenever my wife and I started dating, where I happened to sit in like a big lazy boy or something like that, and I think there was cat shit. For the viewing audience, the cat shit was about this high in the upholstery. I don't know how the fuck gravity-defying cat poo, I didn't know that was a thing, because it ended up being on my shirt about the middle of my back.
An actual turd?
Yeah, like just cat poo or whatever. I don't know if
gross.
it was...
like crusty old cat poo?
I don't know if it was like a fresh...
Oh my God, that's horrible.
And after this, my wife might go, well, it's actually the cat puked. That could be the case.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I just remember sitting in it,
Yeah.
and then, you've got zero view of your own back, unless you're super bendy.
Right.
And then it's just, oh, what is that? Is that cat shit? And I go, really? Right there? Really?
Oh my God.
And once that, the cat, checked out, then.
Have you been back to this house since?
Oh yeah. This was a long time. This was before my kids were born.
And do the homeowners know what happened?
Oh yeah. There's certain things like my in-laws. They know like my most raw and embarrassing things.
Here we go.
They constantly. Things will get thrown back in my face, and a lot of times, I'll do it to myself. Just because how am I going to just, like, oh, don't talk about that. No, if it's funny and it's stupid, especially if it's something that I've done, I've got one scar. I'm trying to think of where I have it. It's like adjacent to my shin bone. I was working at the time, and I was working construction, and I had a full wheelbarrow, right? And I loaded it full of, I don't know if it was mulch or sand. I'm not certain what I had in there, but it was at this apartment complex, and I walked down this hill, and then you got down to where the little drainage, little swale, maybe a better term for that, and then you go back up on the other side. Well, I did that a couple times, and then the last one, hey, let's let gravity kind of speed this up a little bit, right? So I started letting the thing, push me, and then I got to keep up with it, so I got to move my feet and start running a little bit. As soon as you get to the bottom, that little part that is like a bracket in front of the front wheel, that dug into the ground and then did like a catapult maneuver and flipped me over it like I was on an episode of Jackass.
Wow.
And I had this puncture from one of the bolts that keeps the wood things, fixed to the bucket, the bowl, the barrel part, whatever you want to call it. And I had this hole punched in my, and they go, "You did that? How did that happen?" I had to go to the emergency room and get a tetanus shot and everything like that. And my boss is sitting there like, "What the? How the fuck? What now?" So then, anytime there's anything that involves me being able to say, "Hey, as long as you don't have any wheelbarrows, I think I'll be fine." And then they go, "Oh yeah, you are an idiot." Yeah, thanks.
My wife always gives me a hard time because whenever we go to someone's house and if I smell something that's off, I announce it, and my wife says, "You don't do that." One time, quick story, we were up at her aunt's up in Boston, I think it was, and we were there for Christmas. And I was helping the aunt. I was stringing lights on her tree because I'm tall and it's sort of a hassle of a job. So I was doing it for her, and I did not realize it at the time. But my wife's aunt was in the bathroom taking a dookie, and while I'm putting the lights on the tree, all of a sudden it hits me, the smell, and I say, "My God, what is that smell? It's just awful." And she was coming out of the bathroom just as I was saying that.
Oh, so she
and
had
I didn't put two and two together.
It had been freshly wafted.
And I was like, "No, seriously, does anybody else smell? It smells like doo-doo." And I was just going on, and my wife knew what was going on, and my aunt was so embarrassed, or her aunt was so embarrassed, and
Oh shit!
basically, I said,
okay?
"It smells like poo," and and I would not let it go, and I still kind of do that today. I want to tell a quick story. It's a fart story. It's a great fart story. Okay.
Again, I'll be the judge of that.
Okay. So I was dating this girl right before I started dating my wife, and she came down. We weren't living together. I think she came down and stayed with me for like an extended weekend. This girl, and we were sleeping in the same bed. I remember it vividly.
You were living in sin.
Yeah, we were in my little apartment I had. I was on the. If you're laying in the bed, it doesn't matter what position we were in.
Yeah.
She was on one side of the bed. I was on the other. I get it. And I think that I had. I was. I don't know. Just fart stories always make me laugh, even my own. I was laying sort of on my chest, not really ready to 100% fall asleep yet, because I don't sleep on my chest like that. I normally sleep on my side or back. But I felt a fart coming. And she had already fallen asleep. And I felt this fart coming. And you can get a sense, you can feel the bubble in your gut, and you can sort of gauge about how big the fart's going to be.
Just as an aside, on your stomach, if you're in that prone position, there are not better fart brewing conditions that can be made available to the human body.
So apparently this fart was way bigger than I expected it to be. It had everything that a perfect fart should have. It had volume. I mean, it was... So it finally came out. I let it out abruptly. It was like a mini nuclear explosion. It was huge, and it was so loud. It was like somebody came in the room and just shouted at the top of their lungs, "Hey!
Hey!"
Yeah. And
Did you
she was asleep. She got startled and woke up. And now that wasn't the problem. If we'd have just accepted it and maybe smirked about it for a minute or two and gone back to sleep, life would have been fine. But I have a real problem with laughing. And so I laid there in bed, laughing, crying, laughing, Greg. Crying, laughing.
Yeah.
She could not get back to sleep.
No.
I eventually had to get up.
I'm trying to
go in the
sleep,
living
you jerk.
I had to get up and go in the living room and sit on the couch where I continued to laugh hysterically. I mean, the laughing was almost as loud as the fart.
Well, because your brain's DVR or audio equivalent is replaying that on an endless loop. So,
And then at a certain point, when you're laughing that hard, you then start laughing at the fact that you can't stop laughing. You're laughing at the laugh.
This is I'm borderline just punchy.
It went on for about a half an hour.
Yeah.
That's
a long fart.
No, the laughing. Picture somebody, you know how Bert laughs.
Mm-hmm.
Picture that going on nonstop for a half an hour.
Yes.
And so she got really kind of upset with me.
You're such a child. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And she was right.
And the next day, she wanted to sit down and talk about it. And she thought, like, what is wrong with you? Like, seriously, is there something mentally wrong with you? Because it wasn't that funny. And
yes.
So that's really what got me in trouble was the laughing. And I was just so impressed with my fart, and she didn't appreciate it.
No.
For me.
No. If she's not on the same wavelength as you, to just be able to, lift up one cheek or do that one leg bend where you put weight on the one leg and then you kind of make it and do it in front of the other. If they don't have the same appreciation, that was the right course of action.
So fast forward 8, 9, 10 months later, I'm with my future wife.
Right.
We're in the exact same bed. The exact same thing happens. I'm laying next to her. I feel a fart coming. Huge! Wakes her up, startles her. I start laughing again. I get up, I go in the living room, I laugh for half an hour. She just basically rolls her eyes and handles it much, much better. But I just could not stop laughing.
What a child, but you're my child.
Yeah. So she passed the nuclear fart test. And then real quick, if you go back in time to when I'm with this girl again, we're taking a shower together. And I decided it would be fun to pee on her.
Yeah.
Just, because we're just standing here. We have hot water going on both of us.
I saw a jellyfish on you, so I was trying to help you out.
I just did it. I think at first she didn't even realize I was peeing on her because the water is from the shower is
super
warm.
hot.
And I sort of made her look down. I was like, hey.
Does anybody else smell asparagus?
I gave her the old eyes. I was like, hey, look down, check it out.
How you doing?
And then she looked down and saw the stream, the yellow stream coming out of my wiener and peeing on her legs.
You are severely dehydrated, sir.
She started crying.
Wow.
And so there's another strike against her. I'm not saying women should tolerate this stuff.
No.
I'm just saying.
But just for that level of reaction is, come on.
Fast forward 9, 10 months later, when I'm with my future wife, we're in the shower together. I decide to pee on her. And she handles it much better. She's really not that upset about it. And so that's it. That's sort of my fart pee story right there. And that's it just always cracks me up. My wife will never forget that. And she passed the test. This previous girl did not. I know they're both disgusting and disrespectful and horrible, but I was at a place in my life where let me not lie. It's still hilarious.
When you strip us down as just people, I'm not even talking about man, woman, or the foundation of how you were, none of that. It's just the simplest in your lizard brain. You hear a good sound like that emitted from the body. It doesn't even have to be a fart. It can be a good burp. If the conditions are right and you're not like, this is a goddamn meeting and we don't have time for this chicanery, if you could just
Our baby's getting baptized right now. Do you mind?
It's like, seriously, at the wake, you bastard. I mean, if you could just not take things so seriously, just
the way the human body is designed and why our farts make noise cracks me up. If I think about it too hard, I'll just start laughing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just the fact that it's so, you know, it has to push out, and it's our wet buttholes that make that noise. You know.
I'm just waiting for your David Attenborough breakdown. Here we notice the orifice getting ready to dilate to alleviate the previous meal compliments of Chipotle.
God, a couple months ago, I posted a video on TikTok of somebody farting in church, and it was one of those ginormous nuclear farts, and I had to watch it several dozen times, and I laughed hysterically every single time.
The ones that get me are the pet that happens to be resting so peacefully.
The what? The pet?
The pet that's just nuzzled so peacefully with their snout right there on the cheeks and then they just are startled, and then they look, and then sometimes the smell will get its own, you know.
Are you talking about dogs or cats most of the time?
I've seen both. Where they just, I've seen times where it'll be a cat, and then the cat will smack the owner.
Oh, I guess I've never had that happen in real life, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's several of those compilations. Just
my dogs never seem to mind. I mean, I have startled them before, but they never run away. Mm-mm. They look up real quick, and then sometimes they'll really get in there because they can tell a lot. They can tell a lot. They could probably tell if you have some sort of hidden disease that hasn't manifested itself yet. Or
you might want to go get that checked out.
Yeah.
You might want to go see Dr. Jellyfinger and see if that can get to be problematic with you.
Every man should have at least one really good fart story.
Yeah, well, I think that everybody should be able to tell a story, but oh boy, I had probably the longest story ever shared with me at work the other day, and it was excruciating.
A story that you could probably sum up in a sentence or two.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that the older I get, and the more that I'm getting into this and trying to, if I have any aspirations of doing, stand-up or anything like that, you got to use an economy of words. There's no need to have all the extra fat. And
it's not too late, Greg. You're not too old.
I suck at this. So I go to one of my regular stops. I'm at a library, and my arms are full, but not too much. And the lady that I've dealt with since day one on my current route is, hey, I'll get that for you. Oh, okay, thanks. And she's just being, really, really friendly. And I immediately want to express my gratitude. And so right before she punches in the code to let me in the back room, somebody else emerges and just happens to see me in my, work attire and goes, oh, well, he can answer your question. She goes, yeah, let me ask you a question. I said, sure. And so the door shuts and we're in the back area. And then she goes, hey, I had this that I was trying to ship out and things got lost. And first off, she begins with, hey, how often do things get lost? That's a very nebulous question. I would imagine that it happens every so often, but if you're able to track things, probably not, unless something gets destroyed or just it's damaged beyond to the point where it's salvageable. Other than that, it's going to get where you intend it to go. So she just kept going. She goes, yeah, well, I took something over to this place and I was trying to send it out, and it was photo albums. And what they said to me was that you've been targeted. And my ears immediately perked up. I'm like, who the fuck would tell you that you're targeted? And so I just kind of, planted a little flag in my head. Let's bring that up at a later time. She goes, yeah, and I was sending it somewhere in Texas, and what they said was, oh, somebody else from here was sending something, and they were doing the same thing, and they were putting money in the photo album. And I'm just going, okay, when am I going to be able to just insert myself and give her like a couple of little points of my own professional insight, and then that way we can. Initially, I was kind of doing the whole, hey, yeah, no, I don't mind you asking me questions because we're in air conditioning, and with our,
enjoying
just these conditions during the summer are a little bit hot and oppressive. So I was like, okay, no, this will be good, and then. She finally gets to a point, and I said, well, first of all, the term targeted, maybe they could have said something like flagged. Flagged seems like it's a bit of, okay, this deserves our attention based on this that you're trying to send, instead of targeted. Targeted has, bad intentions behind
Negative
it.
connotation.
To me.
Yeah.
So she finally gets to a point where I go, hey, what number have you? She says she actually received a refund for the cost that she incurred to send things out. And I go, all right. And she goes, so once they find it, what's going to happen to it? I go, well, logic dictates to me that whoever sent it or whoever is going to get it is going to be one of the two places that it goes to, again, unless it's completely destroyed. So I said, here, how about this number? So I gave her a different number. I said, call this number. And then added a couple additional steps and said, find out when the last place was, and maybe somebody can put their hands on it or get the ball rolling. And she goes, oh, I'm not done. And then she proceeded with another 5 minutes. And if
just talking about this same delivery,
just adding more to it, and I'm just going, you're just wanting attention. That at this point, that's all this was.
You could recognize that.
That's all this was. This was just a person who was just so starved for attention that doesn't ever get it, and I just go. I felt like I was in her book club.
Maybe she was very
or in her
lonely.
like church class or a group or something like that. I was going, oh boy, and I gotta.
She doesn't realize she's holding you captive.
Yeah, and I'm just going. I gotta run. So, and there are times where I have to be a little bit more assertive, and I can't concern myself with being super nice and friendly. And yeah, I'd love to give a shit about what you're talking about, but I'm in the middle of something else right now.
It happened when we were delivering seafood. Sometimes.
Yeah, I would love to do that, but. It's just, I can't just immediately go, hey, I'm going to shut the fuck up. And, that would be so great. But, there was I don't think I shared with you this story. I may have. That's the only shit thing about having this terrible memory that I have is there was one time where I was, and stop me if you recognize anything, please. It was super cold, and I'm bundled up, head to toe. Thermals and all that good stuff. And I'm wearing a hat, beanie and everything like that. And then I've got my face covered. So the only thing that's not covered is my eyes because it's that cold.
Wow.
It's like when
around here.
Yes, this is like.
Must have been a few winters ago.
Yes, it was like obscenely cold and wind chill and everything like that. And it's one of those places where you go to the back door and you press the button, and she's like, "Who is it?" And then I announce, who I work for, and then she just it was that, and my response, and then that. And then I repeated my response. So it was her asking the same question without changing things. If she had said something like, hey, I can't see your face. Could you do me a favor and let me see?
That's all that needed to be said.
That's all that could have, that small tweak could have changed. Because you asking me the same question, like, who is it? It's Greg Forrest. Who is it? It's Greg Forrest. Who is it? And then I shouted. Because now, again, you're holding me up. It's cold AF. And there's a pull-down door, garage door, essentially. And the person that's on the other side of the door hears me. I'm that loud. He opens it up. She got so mad that I was just being that belligerent, or I don't even know what she deemed me as. But she comes around and then she's trying to.
So she's mad at you now.
She's furious
because you shouted.
Because
at
now
her.
I'm like, ah!
Right,
you know,
right.
and then so she comes and then she's pointing to the gentleman to get him on her side. She's like, you see the way he's dressed? And I go, you asked me the question, and I kept answering the same question. You do see what you did wrong there, right? And so, and then of course, that word gets back to my boss. He was just like, man, I don't know about you, man. You can't be yelling at customers like this. I was like, hey, man, I don't just begin that way. I'll match your energy.
Yeah.
If we're going to start off nice,
right.
I'll match your energy. But as soon as you start to, be stupid or, I don't know, then that's whenever it warrants my attitude to turn sour. I'm sorry. That's I have a tendency to run hot at sometimes.
Speaking of delivery stories, I got a quick one for you. Our old boss, when we used to deliver seafood, had to have a talk with me one time because I was peeing in the back of the truck. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you
No. If there's one person you don't need to explain that to, it's yours truly.
I want to let our audience know that.
However, facing a large crowd with the doors wide open, yes, I understand why that may be a problem.
So back up a little bit to maybe maybe 6 or 8 months before I even started working at the seafood place. We went to my wife and me and my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, and her and his wife. We all went to a Pink Floyd tribute band at the Norva. And this is the early signs that I was getting that I had diabetes. Because when you have diabetes, you have to pee a lot sometimes. If your blood sugar's spiking, your body is trying to get rid of that excess sugar. There's nowhere for it to go except for it to boil up in your blood. So it's going to make you pee a lot. But when we were at this Pink Floyd concert, I had no idea that I had diabetes or I was about to be diabetic or whatever. So literally, I drank like a Coke or something or two, but I literally had to get up every 3.5 to 4 minutes, and I had a full bladder, and I had to go to the bathroom. And at one point, nobody believed that I was just going in there to pee. I guess maybe they thought I was going in there to do a bump or something. And so my wife says, "Go with him. Will you just go with him this time?" And
what?
So I went in the bathroom, and he saw that I was standing there, and I was peeing. I legitimately. So that was then. My diabetes had not fully manifested itself yet. But then I started working for the seafood company, and I had a bad day where I had to pee a lot. I mean, a lot. Like, I couldn't even make it to my next stop. And then when I made it to the next stop, I couldn't make it to their bathroom. I mean, I had to pee. You know those pees where you just have to go. You can't hold it. So, I found a little corner. There's little drainage holes in the back of those seafood trucks.
Yeah.
Because
when we get back to the building, then you got to spray everything out.
It out. And so we were some country club or something, and I went in. It was one of most of my truck was empty. And I delivered this guy's seafood, and I thought we were done. Right. He then had to come back out to the truck. He didn't see me anywhere. Of course, I was in the back of the truck, in a corner, all the way in the back, peeing. And
he opened up the doors.
And I had done this before. I just never had gotten caught.
All right.
No, I think maybe one of the doors was halfway open. It was just kind of halfway.
Yeah, because if you shut it
was
fully,
completely dark. I couldn't see.
No.
So he saw what I was doing. I quickly put my wiener away and flipped around and turned around like, I'm just standing here. What? But if you look at the drainage plug on the outside of the truck, you can see liquid coming out.
That's weird.
Anyway.
I don't know. We're going to have to go see if that's like a transmission fluid or something.
So I get back to
Coming
the
from
warehouse,
the cargo?
and I talk to, we'll just call him G. Mm-hmm. And G sat me down, and he said that this is what happened. And I was so embarrassed and just, I could not confess to it. I had to tell him, no, that's not true. I was draining a box, because they get their ice and you have to drown. That's all I was doing. And I swore up and down because I was so embarrassed and I just could not face the shame. He never believed me. He's like, okay, whatever. I'm just giving you a warning now. I think he might even written me up for that. And so that's my pee in the back of the truck story that I'm to this day still embarrassed about. But yeah.
I had a time where I had to do worse.
Who are you working for? Where are you working now? Okay.
My current place.
All right.
And we were. I was a helper, and during the
look for the helpers. Mr. Rogers says look for the helpers
during the holiday season, and I was not feeling well, and I knew that we were nowhere near any plumbing. And I knew I had to address the issue. And so the person that I was paired up with, he said, listen.
You explained it to him.
You go in the back, and you can take a couple of those bags that we like to use to make sure that things are, weatherproofed. And, take care of what you got to take care of, and you use that as the receptacle sort of thing.
What'd you have to wipe with?
I had to kind of figure things out.
Okay.
Whenever you tell somebody, hey, we tried to bring you your stuff, and you leave like a little sticky, that's kind of like the only thing that you had that was something similar to a paper product. That's the only option that you had.
That's horrible.
Because, sometimes you'll hear guys that have that problem, and they'll just for the rest of the day, they're wearing one sock. Like, I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
So he had his phone, and he fired up whatever music that he was playing, and he just cranked up the tunes, and to just kind of not have it be as graphic sounding for him as it, he just give me like a little bit of background noise. And I said, okay, thanks. And this was purely out of necessity and nothing more. And then I think it was just an immediate find the nearest dumpster afterwards, and then just try to clean yourself off as best you can, and then just keep on going. And so
you got away with it.
Whenever, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was pitch black.
Was it?
It was
a solid movement.
Pitch black. There might have been some of that.
Okay.
It might have been some of that. I just know that the urgency was. I was at Code Brown. I was like,
what can Brown do for you?
It's,
you ever had those amazing poos? Like, we have a bidet in our house, a life changer, by the way. Those little attached bidets, life changer, absolutely fantastic. But before that, did you ever have a poo where you went to wipe and there was nothing to wipe away? It came out.
You go through the motions and you go, did anything even happen? It felt like it did.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, for
like,
sure. But you look at that toilet paper and you could dab your mouth with it. It's so clean.
Okay. There have been times whenever you get up to see what you've produced.
Oh yeah, every time.
And you go
every time. You're supposed to.
Where to go?
Yeah, I've had that happen. Sure,
like it immediately became like part of Ocean Gate. I don't know if it imploded or what happened, but there's no evidence that anything happened here.
Yeah.
What in the hell?
But I think it's an evolutionary mistake that we as humans are the only ones that need toilet paper. Every other animal, mammals mainly, I guess I'm talking about, their bunghole sort of sort of opens up a little bit for them and pushes everything out and then closes. Ours doesn't really do that as much, and so we almost always need toilet paper. And I just think that we should evolve past that. We should have What do you call that? I've seen that in adult movies sometimes where the bunghole just opens and then it closes right back up all neatly. That's what we need to have happen. You know, I've gone on hunting trips before where I've had to do it in the woods. I assume you've done it in the woods.
No.
You've never pooed in the woods.
No.
And I've used leaves.
No. I've gone, quote unquote, hunting one time where I went with a friend and basically just he had a shotgun and I tried to shoot it and I just remember that the kick of the stock hitting you in the shoulder.
You've got to be mentally prepared for that.
And you're never prepared. Words can't ever prepare something that doesn't occur in only words. It's a physical thing that occurs, and you can describe it as best as humanly possible, but until it actually happens to you,
Sure.
It's basically like you have no idea what's going to happen.
So this was your first time with a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume if it has the kick you're talking about, I assume it was buckshot or a slug.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was just and I don't recall any more shots. I know we didn't kill anything. We weren't out there that long.
What were you hunting?
I don't know, 15, 16. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, but were you hunting deer or squirrel?
Must have been like either one. I know that's what because I think he still does hunting and does deer and everything like that. But I'd never had any active interest in it. I've heard of friends or family that have gotten into and they'll use like crossbows or there'll be a bow hunter or something like that. And to me, that seems like it's a little bit more of something that I would be more willing to do as opposed to.
I have an extra
guns.
crossbow if you ever want to buy one. I have one that I will sell you pretty cheap. I have an extra one.
If I need to protect my house from any people trying to.
I would, it's not like Walking Dead where you have an infinite supply of arrows and you can load that thing lickety-split. It takes a while to load.
Splittity-lick. And
I would definitely not rely. I would rather have a baseball bat than a crossbow to defend my house.
Yeah, that's anytime because, that's what I would always. Anytime there was a mystery noise, my previous residence, we had a townhouse, we had an in unit, and every now and then there would be like a noise. What was that? Can you go see what that was?
As the man, it's kind of your duty.
Okay. So I would immediately, pick up something that could do some damage to a skull and or, internal organs or whatever. And so it was always nothing.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Thank goodness.
I don't even know what the hell made that sound.
It
was probably just a fart. Probably just a dude laying on his stomach with a really loud fart.
We have a pretty good arsenal of weapons in our house, and usually the only one that I would really probably use for home protection in most cases would be a handgun and not a rifle. Mm-hmm. So all our rifles are locked up, shotguns, they're all locked up and not really ready to fire at any given moment.
Right.
But all of our handguns are loaded with one in the chamber, ready to go. And they are also locked up, except for one that I keep in a special box that looks like it could be locked, but it's never locked because if I need to get up in the middle of the night, I don't want to be fumbling around and I can just grab it out. But fortunately, I've never had to use it.
What's your mom's birthday? Why are you using your mom's birthday?
No, this one is just a key. It's not even a... I shouldn't be telling you this because if you break into my house, you're going to know there's a box somewhere.
Dude, there are some internet sleuths that can find some shit, and it just baffles me how did you do all that? There's one dude on TikTok that if you just film yourself and you say, guess where I am? And the dude always nails it. Well, I can see based on this time of day, you've got a CVS, and this is either apartments or a hotel, and I can see there's a Hardee's over there, and I go, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then I grouped all these things in my search, and I go, damn.
Yeah, you can figure it out just by certain landmarks and time of day and stuff. Walmart. I want to discuss Walmart briefly. they're it's always a bit of a task to go in there because, you know, sometimes people suffer from road rage. I suffer from just walking through Walmart rage sometimes.
Yeah, people rage. Yeah.
Just, you know, the people that just have no idea that there's an aisle that's designed for one cart to go one way and another cart to go another way, or at least to be able to pass a cart and have it's wide enough for two carts. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they stop in the middle of the aisle with no awareness, and they're just like, oh, I'm going to look at this tuna for 10 minutes and figure out which one I want.
Just a suggestion. If you're trying to stay away from any potential litigation, don't mention them by name. Just use what the symbol that they use reminds me of, which would be a golden butthole.
What do you mean?
That little whatever starburst bullshit that they have for the... If you ever look at their app, it's the blue background and then it's gold. It's a golden butthole.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
You know, that's a little BTS. No one needs to. We can edit that out.
There's a place where I go and work frequently, and somebody who's parked in the parking lot has a picture of a flower. They have a Jeep, and they have a cover on the extra tire on the back of their Jeep, and on that cover is a flower, and it's sort of faded, but I think it's like red, white, and blue or something. And every time I see it, I think it looks like a puckered butthole.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Walmart. I get the road rage, and I was telling my wife just this last night because I was just there yesterday. I buy a lot of boneless, skinless chicken breast, and every time I go over to look at the packs of boneless, skinless chicken breast, there's always somebody in the way. Somebody that's standing there studying the boneless, skinless chicken breast for a little too long. And I sometimes in my what do you call it, passive aggressive way, I sit there and I huff and I puff and without saying anything, but if they glance over at me, I want them to know that I am barely holding it together and I'm waiting for them to leave. Like, you know, I want them to know that I'm not waiting.
Just wait for my turn.
I want to look. You know, I want to go because when I look, I want to look at the weight and the price. I'm a very savvy shopper, and you know, I honestly nowadays with the price, inflation, and everything the way it is, I look for the cheapest, and I don't want her. It's usually her to grab the cheapest packs there. I'll get 2 or 3 long packs, and but that's just one of many issues that I have at larger grocery stores. It's not always Walmart. I shouldn't just say that. But
yeah, it's just any place where people have to go on a regular basis, and this is one thing that I started to use as a teaching tool for my boys is just awareness.
Situational awareness.
Your personal level of awareness is so helpful because you're not the only one occupying that space at any given time. So walking down a corridor or a sidewalk, just who's got the consideration to go single file and who's going to just stay in that, you know, Red Rover, I fucking dare you, you know, formation. Who's got the consideration for their fellow man or their fellow they, them, to just say, yeah, okay, yeah, we can coincide, we can coexist in this space, and I don't have to be the only one that occupies this space. My wife and I were looking for some birthday cards, and she was looking for a particular one, and there was this lady, and it was an in unit about this wide, right? And she was just occupying that space for far too long.
Taking her time.
And she never raised her head up to have a periphery. Mm-hmm. She only looked directly at the stuff that was directly in front of her, or when she held something directly in front of her face like this. And it got to the point where, you know how you can mouth, you know, whenever you're not supposed to, church, school, or whatever, you're like, you know, you're able to You're able to do that.
She did that to you?
No. I could have done that. I refrained, but I could have just gone like right behind her doing this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And she wouldn't even have noticed.
She wouldn't have noticed.
Wow.
And that's the thing is that I've conditioned myself now that as soon as I pick up on somebody else that's somewhere else, I immediately, not out of fear, but just out of okay, do I need to make a concession to somebody else? And just that's whatever your level of intellect is, or whatever level of success that you attain, that's a completely different subject. But just having that little bit of anticipation and awareness is, dude, that's one thing that if everybody was able to have that and actually use that, there'd be far less angry motherfuckers out here just,
and it's not just courtesy. It's not just courtesy, but being aware of your surroundings and the people that are around you and the movement around you can help you from like being like sucker punched or just being randomly attacked by some crazy meth head or, anything.
And also with me and our previous, job, if you can anticipate somebody else and what they're doing, let's say there's a really, really big truck, like a semi, like a tractor trailer, and I know he's got a certain amount of space he has to occupy. Well, it's my right to be able to just go. But there's no one else behind me. I'm not holding anybody else up. Hey, you go ahead and go. I'm going to stop back here because I know it takes you this much space to occupy. And he's going to give me the hands up like, hey, man, thanks for helping me out.
You got to do the hands up or the thumbs up. You got to.
Yeah. Or I'll even do a head or just a head nod.
Yes.
I'll take that. Just acknowledge the fact that I noticed what you were doing and let's go ahead and let that happen. And there's some times where somebody is trying to do that, but they're not considering other things. They're looking at me like, go. Well, these cars.
Right.
And then cars on the other side. And they don't realize that they're holding up other people. And it's like, no, stop. You go. And you just...
They don't always see it from your perspective, for sure. I want to tell you a quick story of an accident that I almost got into while I was working for the seafood company. And then I have to go pee.
Yeah. Okay.
So mentally prepare yourself for that.
I'll be right behind you.
Okay. One time I think it was a beautiful day, and all of a sudden it just started raining. I mean, torrential rain. And for a split second, I don't know what I was doing, but I didn't have my eyes on the road, and it was almost the type of rain where you have to pull over.
Yeah.
It was almost that, and.
You got your wipers on full speed, but that doesn't do anything sometimes.
And there was a lady, elderly lady, in front of me, and the reason I know this is because I came so close to her that I saw her, and she had slowed down, stopped, gave plenty of notice, whatever, but I wasn't paying attention. So at the very last second, I swear I must have missed hitting this lady from like the size of a quarter. That's how much space. And I was immediately, sweat started pouring down. My heart started pounding.
Yeah.
And I would have, in my big truck, I would have really destroyed her.
You would have ruined her day.
Oh, I would have ruined her. To
say the least. Yeah.
Oh, but that was just so scary. And again, my boss, Mr. G, never knew about that. So I hope he never watches this. I'm going to go take a quick leak. I'm super quick, and you have the floor, sir.
All right. While he's gone, I'm going to say there was a similar time where he and I were working at the same place where I was, I took a left at this intersection at a light, and then I did not clear using the mirror to get over to the right lane, and this lady happened to get just right in my blind spot, and I damn near sideswiped this woman, and she pulls up alongside of me, and she's got this look of terror on her face as if I was trying to attack her with my vehicle, and I was kind of putting my hand on my chest to illustrate to her that, hey, I'm very sorry. I was not trying to, hit you, hurt you, or anything like that. Did not that did not dissuade her from calling my business to calling my job and telling the mutual boss that we had, our supervisor at the time. And he called me in the office. He said, yeah, she told me that you damn near hit her. And I knew that you weren't, trying to hit her or whatever. But I guess I put the fear of God or whatever into her. And she thought that I was just being a reckless driver. I don't know what she thought, but hey, you did say that you're quick.
I didn't think that was
sometimes quick. Being quick is a good thing.
Did you get the story out?
Yeah, okay. I almost sideswiped a lady at the same place, and immediately owned up to it and kind of said, "I'm very sorry," without rolling down the window and actually speaking. Did it with your hands. I'm just like, I'm so sorry. And then of course she called, same dude, and was like, he almost hit me and took me out. And I don't know how dramatic she did, but he. Did
you get spoken to then?
He said, "You're good." So he immediately knew that I immediately was owning it up. I was like, dude, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go drain the main vein myself.
I want to take a quick moment just to throw out a word from our sponsor. We do have one sponsor that's going to be a rock solid sponsor to us all the time, and that is my other company, Digital DJs of Hampton Roads. Yes, when I'm not podcasting, I'm also a professional DJ. I do weddings, private events. I think I do conventions, birthday parties, backyard barbecues, you name it. I DJ everything. I also do karaoke. We do trivia night. So if your bar or establishment is looking for a regular nightly guy to have, give us a call. If you're going to get married, if your daughter's turning 16 and you're having a sweet 16 party, or your son, or whatever gender they are affiliated with. And the biggest event we have coming up, I just want to make a quick shout out to the Haunted Screams Expo. This is a horror convention that comes right here to our fair city in Hampton every year. I think you can, hauntedscreams.com, or you can find them on Facebook, social media, and possibly even Threads. Threads is a thing now, but it's going to be a lot of fun. There's celebrity guests there. I'm going to be the DJ for it. MC sort of hosting that. So anyway, if you want to check us out, we're on Threads, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, and you can just go to ddjhr.com. That is Digital DJs of Hampton Roads. Thank you very much, and Greg is back. He's back.
I feel so much better, you guys.
I do too. My God.
Could you see the yellow liquid that was starting to build up behind my pupils?
No.
That means I had a lot of pee in my bladder.
That's not real, is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's just one. You started talking about the rain, and that immediately reminded me of my dad didn't have a lot of like country-esque sayings, but there were a couple ones that just made me go, what the where did you get that from? The one that just it's indelible is him talking about how hard the rain is coming down. He said, man, it's raining harder than a bull pissing on a flat rock.
I've never heard that one before. What does that even mean?
What? The fuck? What? Yeah, just I heard that and I went, huh? Yeah, and then we're getting ready to go down to my family and I are going to get ready to go down to the beach, and it's the same place that my parents have gone down for since the early to mid '80s. They've had a timeshare down there,
Carolina,
in the Outer Banks, yeah. Okay. And so this is my mom's first time going down there, basically by herself, because it was in October that both my dad and my sister passed, and so and then he was so fucking cheesy with one of the jokes that he said ad nauseum. And any time that somebody was about to vomit, they were getting ready to let you know what their favorite car was. Buick. Such a fucking shit dad joke. It's just, and I'm not opposed to telling dad jokes. Not at all. if I'm able to get off a groaner and make Ryan, my oldest, if I'm able to get him to go, oh, God damn it, then I've done something really, really good. There's a supervisor where I work, and whenever things have gotten past the normal levels of inconvenience and there's an excessive amount of bullshit involved in whatever it is, he'll just go, that's a bad deal. And anytime I'm able to use that, he just goes, oh, God damn it.
You throw it right back at him?
He just, no, that's the guy's like almost catchphrase.
And you use it with your son.
I'll use it with my son.
I gotcha.
And it doesn't even matter what it.
That's a bad deal.
That's a bad deal. And he's got a little bit. And he's from this area, but he's got a bit of a twang to him.
Sure,
like,
sure.
Hey, that's a bad deal. So anytime I'm able to use that, I can just hear him go, God damn it. And we just talked about that the other day. And my family, we tend to celebrate people's birthdays on a Sunday. Just we're able to have my in-laws and all four of us. And if no one has to work, we're just, we'll get cake and conversation. Maybe we'll play some type of games, play ping pong in the garage, something like that. And that was recently brought up. And I said, yeah, something. Yep, that's a bad deal. And then my wife looks at him and she goes, you don't like that, do you? He goes, I fucking hate it. It's just, I know that there's something in him that's just visceral and it turns the stomach. It's similar to me whenever I'm watching Impractical Jokers. It's just cringe and I don't know what it is, but it's like a drug for me.
I don't like it when people say, it is what it is.
That's one of the most pointless figures of speech. I
absolutely hate it. And my wife knows it.
And you right there are letting me know, hey, don't ever talk to me again.
Yeah, kind of.
Because there are plenty of people that do that at work. And that's the cousin of just another day in paradise.
Yeah. Hey, 5 o'clock somewhere.
How are you today? Hey, man. How you doing? Good. How you doing? That's all that's really required of you. Yeah. Good.
So you ever sometimes, I guess it's just the formalities of people, but people will often say, hey, how are you? And they'll be like, hi, how are you? They don't answer me. I asked you how you were. Can you just give me a fine or okay? Instead of just saying, hi, how are you back? Because when you ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to answer you.
Well, if you say, hey, how you doing? If you say, how you doing? Or if you say, hey, how are you? If it's more of a pointed question, yeah, but also it depends on our relationship. It depends on how we are with our verbal rapport. I'll actually respond and let you know, dealing with some shit.
Yeah. Well, if you're a good friend, that's fine. But if you're somebody I see once a week, just give me a fine. You've heard Segura's bit. Mm-hmm. Good. Don't ruin my day by telling me how you really are. I don't really want to know how you are. Just give me a fine, a good, and let's move on.
Yeah, but I have actually heard of, there's another comedian that does that where he goes, I'm in the elevator with somebody, and you get that something genuine, something real can actually transpire. You can actually look at somebody and go, I haven't spoken to my father in 10 years. You could say something like that, but the only thing that comes out is, can you believe 3 months ago it was 50 degrees? Fuck, it's nothing. So some people have just a different viewpoint on it, and I depending on how crafty you are as a storyteller, I appreciate your perspective on it. But yeah, the IIWII, just like anytime, I don't.
What's IIWII?
I just abbreviated what you just said of the most awful fucking figure of speech. It what it is. It's just it's a nothing burger.
I usually hear it from people who have Salt Life stickers on the back of their car. So I throw that out there.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, and then if you actually are making somebody laugh, let them know. Like one of my friends, he said to me, "Oh man, I sent him either a joke or a video or something like that, and then he says back me, "Oh, I am gut laughing." Okay, that's a genuine way. It's succinct. It's to the point, and you're letting me know how you genuinely feel about, and you're responding and replying to what I actually said, as opposed to 3 little letters, LOL. You're just phoning it in. You're just phoning it in.
And honestly, most of the time, like when you're on Facebook and you can actually give a little reaction face instead of just the heart on Instagram.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if I give where the dude's smiling and tears are coming out because he's laughing so hard, in real life, I'm just like,
maybe
the corner of my mouth will curl up a tiny bit.
I blew out my nose just a little bit,
right,
because that's my baseline of laughter. That's about all I'm gonna give you. And there's no shorthand. There's no keyboard shorthand for what I just described.
Yeah,
so.
right. I got caught masturbating one time. I'd like to tell the story. I've never told it on national podcast. I'd like to tell the story real quick.
It's going worldwide, G.
It was a room for rent situation.
Were you in the back of a truck at a country club?
Nope.
Hit the button.
I got a country club story for you though. A little later. The Kiln Creek Country Country Club. Remind me later.
Okay.
All right. So I met this girl at the mall, and we hit it off. And I brought her back to this room for rent place where I was staying. And we had great sex a few times. And
I could tell by the way your hands just kind of indifferently went like this.
Yeah,
we had great sex.
It was really good. And then
I rocked her world.
And then I kind of, the boastful, proud part of me was like, if one of my roommates sort of came upstairs and heard me getting it on, or even was able to peek in and see, I'd be like, that'd be score 1 for me.
Yeah.
Look
I wouldn't
at that
be
guy.
focused on the task at hand. I would make eye contact with him and give him a fist pump.
Yeah.
You see what I'm putting down right now.
It was just, I wanted bragging rights. But the girl had left, and then it was maybe a day or two later, I had to take care of myself. I had to. And apparently I had one of the roommates I was staying with was out of town and got back on this day. I had no idea what time he was going to come back. I didn't think it was going to be anytime soon. So I'm laying there in my bed with my door wide open.
And you did not know that he had a really, really bad urge to piss, and he had to do it right now. He was pre-diabetic.
It was an older black guy.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Mickey. He'll never hear this, and I'm just saying his first name.
Okay.
And he is, I guess we had wall-to-wall carpeting, so you can walk upstairs very quietly,
Hey, why are you going upstairs like a ninja?
So I'm laying there in bed, and I got a full, huge hog going on. I'm just... At the time, I'm just taking care of business.
It's a bit self-aggrandizing, that gesture.
All I mean is, I don't mean that I have a huge one. I just mean it was fully erect. There was no question of what I was doing.
At the time, you were fully engorged.
I had no sheets nearby to quickly cover myself.
You had no modesty prevention.
And I was just full stroke.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, he says, "Chris," and I look up and he's right there, and so it means he's been watching me for at least 2 or 3 seconds before he let his presence be known, and I was so embarrassed. I didn't finish, obviously, and he could have come the day before or the day before that and be like,
"Look at you."
But he could have come earlier and saw that. Hey, look at Chris there getting action. No, look at Chris up there with himself, alone in his bedroom with his door wide open. And so that was the time I got caught doing that, and I'll never forget that.
One time is the loneliest number.
I almost got caught by my mom one time.
Oh,
but we were getting ready to go somewhere, and she's
See,
like,
that involves a lot more therapy.
yeah. Well, she didn't really catch me. I think she probably knew what was going on and politely, smartly closed my bedroom door and went away. Because when she was in there, I had the sheets pulled all the way up. I guess I heard her or something, and so I completely covered myself up. And she's like, Chris, what are you doing? Aren't you ready? We're going to go.
Why are your sheets forming a triangle at the moment?
But so I'm laying there like this, and she's like, "Well, come on, let's go right now." And I'm like, "All right, I'll be there in a minute, Mom. I'll be there."
Hold on.
I'm not quite ready.
Yeah,
and
I'm
she
not
said, "Okay, well,
yet."
hurry up." And she closed the door and backed out. And I was like, "Oh God."
Hurry up. Yeah, it's that simple. Just those words are able to make this come to a
That was
conclusion.
the closest I ever got close to being caught by one of my parents. Thank God. Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah.
Now we'll bounce back and forth. If you have a story, and then I'll tell my Kiln Creek Country Club story.
No, you go right ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
So I don't drink very much. I can probably count on two hands the number of times that I've really been drunk in my life. That's it. Two hands. One of them was I got really drunk. It's really not about me getting drunk. It's about me the next day. The next day, I had a very important first day orientation. I got hired as a sports club concierge, which was a dream job. It was a cake job. It paid decent for the time, early 90s. And I had to be there the next day to do orientation. And they also were going to give me my little name badge, which had my picture on it, which means they were going to take my picture that day. And I was so hungover and so nauseous. And I know I look like crap. This ID badge.
This is me.
Yeah. That's kind of what I look like in the picture. I looked horrible in the picture. I wasn't smiling. I just looked like death warmed over. I just looked awful in this picture. But I managed to not vomit during orientation. It was in my car on the way home. I had to pull over on Interstate 64 and I spewed everywhere. I vomited everywhere. And for some reason, I guess I felt that I left a bad impression because during orientation, I was just so out of it. I wasn't participating. I looked all... Oh, I just hurt my jaw a little bit right there.
Oh, my goodness.
When I said awful...
Lucky fella.
My jaw unlocked and snapped up again. It was weird. And
I didn't know you were part snake. You could unhinge your jaw like that.
I was shameful. I was ashamed of myself, and I just never went back. And it was probably a great job that I should have. I regret that because I never went back to the job because I had a hangover on day one orientation, and I felt that I was giving off a bad impression.
And see, you have cited two specific instances in your, dealing with you specifically, that I'm sure if you would have immediately owned it and just made yourself completely vulnerable to the situation, but embarrassment prevented that.
I was
and
way
then
young.
Whatever the growth was that could have occurred, like, whenever G pointed out you're pissing in a dark box, and then some fella happened to see it, and then no, it's I was dumping out stuff. But that's the thing is that now. That's one thing that I wish I would have had at a younger age. Was just the ability to mock myself instantly as I'm doing something so stupid and clumsy and silly, and just immediately not taking myself too serious. Because that's one of the toxic traits that we've got as dudes is your ego, as how cool you're perceived as.
Ain't that the truth?
Whether or not you're hot or cool or any of those combination of things, if you're just able to immediately mock yourself and just not take it seriously and just
hopefully you learn that
be
with
confident
age.
and present and everything like that. Jesus, what in the hell? Be present in that moment and just immediately just do a self roast. And because I'm doing that more and more now, I don't have time to be concerned with your perception of me. I don't care. I thought of two just sloppy drunk instances involving me. One was in high school, and we went down to the Outer Banks, and somebody came up. Somebody, you know how they make, I think, Purple Passion. Some people might call it, trash can punch or whatever. You just dump everything. Everything goes in the cooler, and then you just take a cup and you just start pounding drinks.
Yeah.
And you have no idea that the really, really, really good tasting stuff, you don't think is going to mess you up, and then all of a sudden it will hit you like an absolute ton of bricks. And it's summertime, and you're not hydrated. And I remember being just completely, I was already in hangover stage. I was that gone. And I just remember there was one girl who at the time I thought was just an absolute smoke show. And I wanted, to have that type of time spent with her and relationship and all that stuff. But I just remember she said one of the things that it instantly motivated me to resolve my situation. She goes, if I'm feeling gross, if I'm feeling sick or whatever, and I need to vomit, you're right there and you're on the toilet like that. Just think of all the asses that have been on that toilet seat. And I was like, I did it. And then I immediately got in there and just started blowing chunks.
Yes, that's smart. That's a good idea.
The other time was I was in the Navy, and
the Navy.
Hell yes, and I was wearing some chaps, and we left base, and we stayed at this hotel, just a couple of buddies, and one of the guys, his sister was in town, and she was very cute, and I got pass out drunk, right? And I think we were causing too much noise. Some of this stuff had to be fed to me post facto. So I was that gone that I don't recall any of this.
I don't think I've ever been that drunk.
So I just remember the cab ride back to the barracks the following day. And I just remember being just completely shamed. They were like, dude, you were so hammered last night. You were so fucking drunk. You know what you were doing last night? And I went, what? And they go, you had your pants around your ankles and you were just humping this dude's sister like you were a dog. And I go, what?
And she let you?
What? I go, I did what?
Did you have your underwear up still?
They lied. I didn't do any of that.
Oh, they were just fucking.
They stuck me in the bushes outside of the hotel that we were staying at. And then 6 months later, because, I'm in Massachusetts doing part of my schooling, then the other half was in Pensacola. Later on, I find out from my roommate at the time, she's like, yeah, we just left you in just a heap, passed out. Wow. And we just told you that you were, basically, I thought I was going to be a Me Too person.
So that fucked with you for a long time.
For a while, for a good 6 months. I went, y'all, what? But at the time I was relieved because I didn't actually do that. And I went, oh God, thank God I didn't do that. Because I was like, I don't remember that. I was, good God, how goddamn drunk were you, boy?
They used to have block parties in sort of near ODU.
Okay.
And in the frat houses, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I went to one of those. One time I went to one of those with, I don't know if I was with one person or two other people rode with me. We went over there. And I did not know my way around at the time. ODU, all the way to getting back to wherever I lived. And they had a keg at this party. And, you could just go up there with your little solo cup and fill it up as often as you wanted. I don't know. It might have been $5 to get into the party. And I didn't, even to this day, I don't really drink that much. Even back then when I was early 20s or however old I was, I didn't drink that much. But I wanted to look cool. So I got a beer and I sipped it, I babied it, and I eventually, I think I just started like dumping it out here and there wherever I could. Because I didn't really feel like drinking. I didn't want to get drunk. I just
A lot of my friends, they just, for some reason, beer just doesn't.
And it was like Bud Light or something.
Something about the taste.
Yeah. I don't do Bud Light. I don't do any light beers. It just, ugh. Now I only drink Guinness. All I drink.
Okay. Well, there are some that I will drink, but sometimes you just, sometimes just the taste of it, you're just like, I don't, ugh.
But so at this party, I sort of was giving my friends the impression that I was getting a little hammered, but I wasn't at all.
Oh, so you're just putting on a show.
A little bit. And we, when it's time to leave, they were, you okay to drive, Chris? I'm like, I'm fine. And I was fine. And I had to follow this other car, though, to get from ODU. We had to go down NAS and to get out of there. And there was a light that I think they may have just ran. It had just turned red, and they went through it. And me not wanting to lose them, not really knowing where I was, I went after them and ran it again. I don't know if they got pulled, but I definitely got pulled over by the cops. And the people in the car with me were panicking because they thought that I was pretty plastered, And I said, guys, don't worry about this. I got this. So the cop comes up to the window, and he says, how you doing tonight, sir? And I was like, fine. He said, I realized what I had done wrong when running red light. He said, how much have you had to drink tonight? I said, nothing. I haven't had anything to drink tonight at all. And I looked at him stone dead cold in his face. And my friends were amazed that I was able to switch that on and be that sober, pretend sober to them in their minds. And I don't remember if he gave me a ticket or gave me a warning, but had I really been drinking, first of all, I never would have driven.
No.
But if I had have been, that would have been it for me. That would have been a DUI.
There are certain things like that immediately give me crippling anxiety with where this can go sideways. Just I don't want to even think about that. Just entertaining that.
Yeah.
So I get that.
You don't have any DUIs?
No. I had. I did leave one party on base housing, and I got pulled over immediately, and I did have some fluids in my system, and the people that ended up pulling me over were, because it was the base police, and they wanted to just throw the book at me. And then the person that came by was from York County, and he's like, "Nope."
Why?
He's in my jurisdiction.
Oh,
nope. So he sent me to spend the night at I had to basically sleep it off in like
what a saint.
The jail.
What a saint.
Absolutely. That could have been a DUI, and whatever, just from and. Who knows what the possibilities are that were prevented at that moment? But he was like, no.
That's very cool.
Just let him sleep, spend the night, sleep it off. The only thing that I dealt with was after the fact, calling my mom to have her come pick me up, and then having to go to where the car was impounded and pick it up. So aside from,
know this guy?
Aside from inconvenience and basically a financial penalty that I essentially had to pay for, that it was one of those just a fortunate set of circumstances that occurred for me. But I never had that as something that I had to concern myself with. I was just like, I was always just so terrified.
Yeah, sure.
And
I know people that have had. I know one person who has had 4 DUIs, and they have explained it to me that there is a way that they can get their license back. It requires paying a lot of money and doing something. And I guess their most recent one happened quite a few years ago, so enough time has passed. But in my opinion,
they make it sound as though it's the same type of hoops that you have to jump through for your expired licenses. That's the way that they're making it sound.
I think if you've had 4 DUIs, just my opinion, I don't think you should ever be allowed to drive again.
Maybe call an Uber. That's just me talking.
Yeah. All right, I thought of another quick story, and this has nothing to do with anything.
This is a non sequitur.
I used to be going back to my video store days, I used to be a senior assistant manager at Blockbuster Video. Love my video store days. I always reminisce about them. And this was back when Star Wars, I think the one with young Anakin, which one was that called?
That would be The Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace came out. And in JCPenney's, they had you know how they have a mannequin set up to put clothes on?
Right.
They had a mannequin, but it was an exact replica of Anakin.
My dad would always call it Jacques Penet.
Is JCPenney?
I don't know. I have to dump this information on you, the listener/viewer, because it's just haunting my brain.
I don't know. I guess maybe it was part of some sort of tie-in promotion with JCPenney's and The Force Awakens, and they had a young Anakin. I mean, he was in his full pod racer outfit. He had the goggles on and the helmet. It was awesome. And I don't know if they gave that away in some sort of raffle or contest or what, but me being an senior assistant manager, it's called a SAM in Blockbuster world.
Hey.
We had a tie-in with The Force Awakens 2, and we had a Yoda, an exact full-size replica of Yoda, okay? And we were just giving it away in a drawing. And because I'm an idiot, I went about this. I wanted to win it. So
you're disqualified because you work here, Chris.
I think that
I was trying to rig the system.
Yeah. So what I did was I got a bunch of entry slips. I must have been more than 100 I filled out, and I put my buddy Steve's name on it. I wrote Steve and all his information.
Who in the fuck is this Steve guy?
He would have taken the prize and then just given it to me, I hope. But I filled out way too many. And I put it in the box, and it was time to do the drawing. And they went to draw the first name, and I think I had ran my mouth and told them that I had filled out all these entry slips with the name Steve. So the first name they pull out of the drawing was Steve. And they were like, well, you can't, you are an employee, you can't win this. This is not you. You told so-and-so that you were going to write Steve.
You self-sabotage.
So they pulled maybe 4 or 5 other entries out, and they all said Steve. So, yeah, I ruined it for myself. And then they finally picked a winner, but I could have had that Yoda. And it was so lifelike and amazing, and it would have been worth so much money now.
That sounds like a not as fun version of Bert's raffle tickets.
Yeah. I'm sorry to do this to you, Greg. I got to go pee again real quick.
I've got to go make a little bit of yellow, if you don't mind. I'm going to step out here and go, I got to go beat the piss out of a giant. Oh, jeez. I love all the douchey, machismo, grandiose, self-aggrandizing figures of speech that guys like to say. Because he was talking about his being fully engorged and everything like that, and that reminded me of just the dumb shit that guys would say in their teens and stuff like that. Like I would, oh my God, what are some ones that I've heard that I would, basically I would be able to render this woman as a not able to speak after I got done fornicating with her, and just think of the most stupid ways of putting that. I was just telling the viewing/listening audience, as you step out to relieve yourself, of the just stupid shit that guys would say to brag about themselves in their claims to what they would do if they were given the opportunity to, bed a young lady. I would, and then,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dude.
I would, one of the funnier ones and the ones that would make me laugh are so ridiculous. Like, I would pick the corn out of her,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I remember one time somebody said I'd eat a mile of her shit just to see where it came from.
Oh, I've heard that one.
Ew.
But ew, though. That's really gross.
Yeah, none of these things are to be taken literally, but just hearing the stupid shit. And that's the thing, is that I'm limited to working with these just mouth breathers still to this day, that some of them like to just say that just dumb shit. Like they're never going to evolve. Like, are you that limited intellectually that that's all you're going to do is just talk about, Oh, this reminds me. I take the four of us, my wife and my two boys, we go and have breakfast, and we offer Noah the option to go and pick the choice of the place where he wants to go to eat. And so we're eating at this place, and there is a local baseball team, right? And they look like they're there to raise money so that they can go and further their, I don't know if it's All-Stars or whatever. Well, there's this one girl. She's very young. I would guess 16 to 18 is my guess. I don't know how old she was, but she was wearing something low cut. So she was trying to make herself presentable for her boyfriend, who's sitting and there's just the two of them sitting there. They're sitting there right next to a window. On the other side of the window, you could just see the staring boys like, titties. I mean, they weren't doing that, but that's what their face was saying. Like,
yeah.
Titties. Titties.
And they didn't look up at the window once?
You weren't. I'm sure she was probably just like, just don't look. Just don't look.
Oh my God.
I know that she can feel it. Women a lot of times have that, just that sixth sense. And all I can think was just like, that poor girl, she is being traumatized by these little fucking, by these little Me Too in training little bastards. Just titties.
It's funny. You were talking about things that we would do. I'd eat a mile of poo just to see where it came from. Dude, Friday or Saturday night, I sent my buddy a random text because we don't agree. We don't have the same taste in all the Hollywood actresses and who's hot and who's not. But we always agree on Margot Robbie. We always agree on her. So I presented to him, and this was totally out of the blue, random, for no reason. I said, this is the deal. You're with Margot Robbie and Dr. Pimple Popper. And Margot Robbie has maybe a golf ball sized cyst somewhere on her body. And Dr. Pimple Popper is going to remove this cyst from Margot Robbie.
Would that be considered a four-way?
Yeah, sometimes those cysts take on a life of their own. But I said, so the question I presented to him, I said, would you eat the cyst after it's extruded? You know how disgusting they look when I come out. If you could bang Margot Robbie, Dr. Pimple Popper would be there to watch. She would only watch. And you could make this happen. All you had to do was eat this cyst that was squeezed out. No. And I think he said something like, I don't know, I'd have to think about it. It was just, depend.
I would just tell myself that it's like yogurt that's gone really, really bad. No.
And then I think I ended up, he likes my buddy of mine, he likes his salmon overcooked. I mean, really ridiculously overcooked. And I said, if you want to. So
there's zero pink.
Yeah, it's just sort of a burnt orange.
It's just a tan orange.
Yeah, and I said if you want to, you can make some sort of sauce to put on the salmon using this cyst. You can mix it, mask it.
How did you make this remoulade?
And he just basically was so floored by the absurdity of the question. I don't know if he ever gave me a for sure answer, but I would do it for Margot Robbie. I absolutely would do it.
No, I would make her think that I would, and then I would just do what.
Would Dr. Pimple Popper watching help, or would that make it more difficult? Because she's not.
The answer to this question is just like every woman that's ever spent time with me is that I would disappoint the shit out of you. Whatever happens,
I'm gonna
probably apologize, and you're just gonna go, That's really.
I wonder if somebody that attractive, if somebody like Margot Robbie, for an example, if I would have any performance issues just because of who she is, being the mega A-list, so attractive, if that would just, the anxiety of it and performing well would
it could.
I don't know.
It could, but let's say somebody with that level of celebrity was just keyed in for some reason. Something about you that was alluring enough or interesting enough that you were able to disarm them based on your personality or whatever. I think that would be, I would find that completely invigorating and and kind of reassuring for whatever kind of being self-conscious of myself or whatever that I may have would probably be put at ease immediately. The only thing I would be concerned of, it would be, would I be doing something stupid enough to try to put myself in a better station? Would I want to try to take this and all of a sudden put myself in more of a pedestal, as opposed to you would be viewed as kind of like a way to just get away from it for them, you know? And so, I don't know. I would be... Yeah, I think that's the blessing of just, again, a certain peace of mind just came over me whenever I just stopped giving a shit what someone thought about me. I don't know when that occurred to me, but because I was so obsessed with wanting to be accepted and wanting to be cool and wanting to be popular and all this and pining away for the hottest person. And now you just go, if you're not interesting or fun or able to have a good conversation, I don't know. No, I'm not interested. I don't want to even... I've seen and talked to people, and you know, aesthetically, you just go, this person is what you would deem in that 90th percentile or whatever. But as soon as you start hearing them talk, you just go, not at all.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ew. This is not a good match. I don't like this. So.
Have you ever watched that show Yellowstone?
I think I saw maybe the first episode.
The girl that plays...
Isn't she British?
Yeah, she plays Kevin Costner's daughter, Beth.
Yeah.
God, she's attractive.
Yeah, she's easy on the eyes.
She is.
She's not bad to look at, yeah.
Without going into too many details, I want to tell this one quick story of one time I was in Hollywood on wherever the what was it? It was a Hustler store. It was sort of like a Fredericks of Hollywood. They sold lingerie and adult toys and videos, I guess. And
did the guy who founded Hustler, did he show up in his little...
No, I don't know. What year did he die? This was
Larry Flint, I forget.
Yeah, this was in 99 that this incident occurred, where I stepped out onto the curb outside of the Hustler store and almost got hit by a Porsche. And then, because I didn't realize that the Porsche was going to pull up and stop right there in front of the Hustler store. It's like, it's not really, I don't know if you're supposed to park there because it's right up front. But anyway, I almost stepped out and I stepped back real quick and avoided it. And out of the car, driving by himself, stepped out of the car, Ron Jeremy.
How about that?
The Ron Jeremy. Yep. Almost got hit by him. So that's it. I don't want to go into too many details surrounding why I was there and all that, but that was.
I get it. You don't want to self-incriminate. I get it.
So what else? Oh, I do want to make a note that I only have 2.5 months left here. Then this whole podcast is going to move to my home, I believe. I think I'm going to set up my garage. I'm going to insulate it as best I can. We're going to have air conditioning in there. But that's where future podcasts
so
are
you're
going to
try to do a similar setup as Bert for his Bertcast deal.
Oh, does he still do that in his garage?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
because I want to say that he's got 2 places, and the one that, because that show Man Caves, they actually came in and they did that for him.
Right. Yeah. Well, his shit's probably all soundproof and amazing, and mine's just going to be, a garage.
Right.
But it will have an air conditioner, and I'm going to hang up. They sell these special. You ever seen these special blankets they use, U-Haul, for moving? To protect furniture and stuff. I'm going to get a few of those and hang those where the giant garage door is, and sort of that hopefully will offer some insulation, so the air conditioner doesn't just rush completely towards that cracks in the side of the garage door.
Yeah.
But so that's going to be the setup in the future. So we have 2.5 months. I'm going to try to get a handful of guests in here. I'm trying to. I reached out to one of the fitness instructor dudes from one of the local gyms, and he has to talk to their corporate people to see if he's allowed to do it.
Okay. If that doesn't work out, I've got another person that I used to work with at my current employer, and he actually has his own CrossFit gym.
Really? Oh, my God. I would love to talk to this person.
But I don't know. I have an old, how you had the phone number, and now numbers, you have to save it in your contacts with your area code and everything like that. I don't even know if I still have the correct phone number.
Yeah.
So I'll try to reach out to see if that would be.
I would love that.
He, to me, and I don't know his willingness or anything like that, but he's one of those people that whenever you talk to him, you're like, okay, this person kind of gets it. You all right? This dude is able to carry on a really good conversation.
Could we do a 3-way with him?
I don't know if he's into 3-ways.
No.
That's a bit presumptuous if he's into that sort of thing.
That is a great working microphone. Unfortunately, I checked those. Remember that I told you I had an extra pair of headphones over there on top of that little... They don't work very well, but I'm working on getting 2 more sets of good quality headphones like the ones we're wearing, and eventually 2 more Rode mics, which is what we're using here.
Roger that.
For sure, though. But put the word out to him as soon as you can. Just get him thinking about it.
I will, do my part to reach out to him. And
if he wants to remain somewhat anonymous, if he doesn't want to give his last name and say the exact gym he works at, or he can promote the hell out of his gym and come in here and say exactly where he works, and we can drum up some business for him, maybe.
Right.
So
I will,
that'd be great.
I will definitely pass it on.
And would you consider him a bit of a nutritionist as well, or mainly just fitness?
Well, because I don't know if he's a nutritionist.
Okay.
Because my previous racket, I used to be a massage therapist, and I think he still does that, but then he also does the...
he does massage too? Massage?
Massage.
He does massage?
He sounded like Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz, the former Notre Dame quarterback, the head coach.
If he does massage.
He does massage therapy. In addition, he makes you go into his gym and the warehouse and throw around some tires. So, yeah.
That sounds great.
Impromptu Lou Holtz impression. I'm sorry.
If you have anybody else that you want to bring in too, you said you still want to do your son. Why don't we do your son? It sounds so nasty.
Phrasing.
We need to interview your son while we're still here at the office, if possible.
Hey, Ryan. Chris says that he wants to do you.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
I did not say that.
Now, see, he's going to watch this and he's going to be all
no, he won't.
Screwed up. Okay.
No.
Ryan's the oldest one.
Ryan is
Noah's the younger one.
Noah is the youngest.
Isn't that something? You had 2 boys. Didn't have any girls, huh?
I did. I'm glad.
How's your wife feel about that?
I'm sure that there's part of her.
Said it all.
I'm sure that she would have liked to have had a girl, or 2 girls, or whatever. But I know that once we got to 2, that was like it, and I kind of let her know. And
did you get snipped?
She may have already come to this conclusion on her own, but I said that if you want any more, you're gonna have to find another donor, because I don't want to be outnumbered, There's 2 of us and there's 2 of them. I don't want to be outnumbered by childrens. I don't want to have more than that.
Right.
I'm good with that number. That's perfectly fine. See, I'm a middle child, so I've got all.
What else do you have? What else do you have? I know Greg or Chris. I mean, what's the other one?
Boy, early onset senility is a bitch for you today.
What do you have? What else do you have?
My sister.
You have a sister.
She passed.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry.
October,
Yeah,
so
that's
October,
right.
my father and my sister. So
Pretty young,
I'm
right?
in the middle.
Pretty young was she?
She would have been, because this year,
Oh,
she
no.
was born the day before the bicentennial. So July
1970
1976
6.
is whenever she was born.
The day before.
The day before the bicentennial.
Oh, man.
Because I remember going to the bicentennial in Yorktown with some other folks. It's one of those hazy, I don't really have vivid recollection of very young memories and experiences. I want to say it was like a grandparent or somebody like that, but I just remember walking around with those stupid little flags, and it was hot because it's July, and that's really all I remember about that. But yeah, I'm a Scorpio, I'm left-handed, I'm a middle child. Dude, I've got more issues than a magazine subscription. Brother. Hey, yo. So.
All right, I am going to regretfully tell one final story.
Okay.
And if you want to tell a story as you can. But
we can wrap up after that.
I had a friend once. I think I was 16. He was 15. We were in high school. Was it high school or middle school? Maybe we didn't make it to high school yet. I don't think you knew him. His name was Travis.
Everybody's waiting on bated breath.
Do you remember a kid who got killed? He was on a skateboard.
Yes.
This was my very good friend. He lived 2 houses down from me. His name was Travis.
Yep.
You knew him?
Yes.
Wow. Well, I'm going to tell you a story about him real quick.
And he got killed, I guess, skating across the street.
And the person that hit him went to our school.
That I didn't know.
I think he was an upperclassman, but yeah. And it was like a pickup truck. And it was Travis's fault. He sort of just darted out there on his skateboard. There's nothing that this guy that hit him could have done. He just has to live with that sadness, but no guilt. There's no guilt. He shouldn't have any guilt, but
Yeah, that's the thing, is that what you, it's the, and I've not been personally involved in that sort of, cataclysm or anything like that, but that's all I can do is just empathize with what you must be having to feel, as far as you're part of somebody's massive feelings of loss, and that can't give you any kind of fulfillment. It can't.
Well, anyway, before he died, like maybe a week or two before he died, he was on the news. We went to, like I said, I can't remember if it was high school or middle school, but we went to the Emancipation Oak Tree. Do you know where that is? It's on the Hampton University.
I was getting ready to mention
it's way huge and overgrown now. It was big back then, but not as big as it is now. Anyway, we went there, and there was some speech given by somebody. I don't remember who it was. I think it was a prominent black leader. Oh, it was. We had a black governor at the time, I think.
Douglas Wilder.
He was there, and he gave a speech. And we sort of went as a field trip. It was, all a bunch of classes and everything. And I am such a media hog. If there's a camera and an opportunity for me to be on the news, I'm going to do it.
Hey, I'm on TV!
Yeah. But for this particular situation, even though he was like right beside me, they chose him to speak to, my buddy Travis. And he's not real good with words, so he didn't give that good of an interview. And they never used the clip. And I was in the, I think maybe you could probably, I don't even know if I was in the background or not of the shot, because I did end up seeing the news footage later. I'll get to that in a moment. But he was surrounded by his classmates. And while he was talking to the news people, he was surrounded by his classmates. I mean, just a sea of kids that wanted to, just get hey, look at me, I'm on TV. And
shout out to South Park.
So I had contacted, when he died a week later, I contacted the news company. I said, hey, you guys did a story a while back. It was for the Emancipation Oak, blah, blah, blah. you never used the footage of my friend, but you interviewed him, and I think his parents would really like that interview. It was just short, and not everybody had a cell phone back then. They didn't have video of him, much. So I contacted the news company. I think it was Channel 10 News, and they got the footage, and they gave it to me, the raw footage of just the interview. And then they also turned it into a story because they figured, it was a news story that a kid got hit by a skateboard. They wanted to, and plus they had a up close face interview with them.
It seems as though they had the capabilities to turn it into some form of a tribute.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
So at some point after we saw the raw footage of the interview, somebody in the crowd, while they were interviewing Travis, smacked him in the back of the head. Just a light little tap, but just enough to be an asshole,
Yeah.
And
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and
gotta love humanity.
I don't think that they left that in the news clip that they put together for him.
No.
But in the raw footage. So we were all sitting around for his funeral. And I had the video footage. I had the VHS tape back then of the raw footage of the interview. And we were all sitting around watching it. And I guess maybe I had just a touch of racism in me back then. I was 16. I was an idiot.
Right.
I was a kid.
Right.
And we're all sitting in a living room full of people. There had to be 30 people in there. And I did not realize this. In the room, in the back corner, was one of our black friends. And his name was Donald, and he lived right next door to me. And I did not realize he was in the room. So when we're watching the raw footage, and the little part comes up where Travis is smacked in the back of the head, that somebody said, "Oh, that's a shame. I wonder who did that." And I said, it's probably some black guy. But
filter.
And then as I said that, I looked around. I went like this, and I looked around, and I saw Donald. I saw the black guy in the room, and I real quick tried to recover, and I said, or maybe it was a white guy. Trying to recover. That was the worst recovery in the world.
No, that was the worst attempted
recovery. I don't know why I would say that in the first place. I had black friends back then. I was just an idiot. It was what I thought, a room full of white people, and I thought, these people are probably all racist. So I'll say it was a black person. I'll demonize the black man. I don't know why I did that. No. It's a complete total idiot. Not a drop of racism in my blood now, but it was such an embarrassing moment.
Oh yeah.
And then I think when they did finally put the news story together, they interviewed me briefly because I was good friends with Travis. And little did I know, they wanted to meet me, I think, at like City Hall to do the interview on one random floor of the City Hall. And they did not realize that I had just come from the viewing. And I think I'd only been to one other funeral in my life before then. It was some 90-year-old dude, so it didn't have any effect on me.
Right.
But I had just come from the viewing, and he was so messed up. You didn't go to the funeral, right? No. It just looked like a Hollywood...
was it an open casket?
Yeah. And it was...
Why?
Well, they reconstructed everything, but it looked like a wax figure. It didn't look like there was no life, there was no essence left in him.
No.
And it affected me, and I was a blubbering mess. So I went to the interview, and they interviewed me, and I think
you were not composed.
No, I was not composed.
You were extremely vulnerable. Mm-hmm. First of all, the decision to have done that, and I know that's a bit, hindsight's 20/20 kind of a thing to look back on someone's decision making at the time, but no. First of all, my one and only time. I don't want to say that. The time that is still embedded into my subconscious now is whenever my grandmother on my dad's side, my dad's mom, whenever she passed, they had the casket open, and I just remember looking at it, and it looks so. What is this? It messed me up. I went, what is that? And so,
and it stays with you for the longest time.
She died of like a heart attack, of something much more of a, nothing with physical trauma involved.
Right.
And I cannot imagine. Let's do the viewing. Let's have a memoriam. Let's do the wake and everything like that. And it's just a closed casket with the flowers, all the arrangements, and maybe a couple of pictures, maybe a couple of videos. Everybody come up, a handful of people say some nice things.
I like to just...
That's about it.
The memory I have of them is the last time I was with them, which, I don't want to have the last memory I have of them. And, God, that stays with you for a long time.
Yeah, that goes into a secret, deep place, I guess, so...
But like I said, the news people did not know that I had just come from I may have told them seconds before they started rolling the film, and it was Andy Fox interviewed me. And
I'm glad that you ended this podcast on such a high note. Chris Kepics, everybody.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you, Greg, for coming out and doing this podcast. He's always a go-to. I refer to you as my sometimes co-host, not just a guest, but a co-host, and you make it whenever you can, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate
and I would like to do one or two with you a month, if possible, and until we get this thing rolling, and then eventually we can have 3 people in here and kind of all playing off of each other. I want to thank my viewing audience again. This is probably going to be one of those not safe for work episodes. We did get a little graphic, but
they're always.
Anyway, so please share this video. The Clover Street Podcast in itself, as its own entity, is on Instagram. Please follow it. Facebook, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify. If you could just like it, and if you do like it, please share it with as many people as possible. Do you have any? Again, thank you for the records, dude. He brought me 60 records, vinyl records, which is just fantastic. So thank you. But any parting remarks from you?
Not a problem. All of my social media, I am on TikTok as tree with underscores after each letter, and then Instagram and Threads, it's tree13, and let's see here. That's pretty much it. I'm trying to build up my numbers as well, and
you really got to work on your numbers on Threads. But I guess we all do.
Dude,
it's like starting from scratch.
It's because I had maybe on Twitter I got up to maybe 600, and it's just I'm not really posting as much. But
well, because Threads works so directly with Instagram, how many followers do you have on Instagram?
Maybe 100, 150.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is that until I started, taking TikToks and converting them over into Reels and stuff like that, that's the only thing that would really get my numbers to spike. And spike is kind of a term that I use loosely. So,
yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. Again, thank you so much, and hope everybody had a good time, and we'll catch you next time.